Nigel Farage is, in my opinion, just the leader of the British right. This is just something that he has achieved through a long career of advocating for those things upon which we all basically agree. He is, of course, a boomer. Actually, he's not a boomer. He's old Generation X, but he's in the boomer mindset. So he has his boomerisms, which I'm afraid we're just going to have to forgive and forget, because there's only so far a boomer can become based, I think is the issue. But that's fine. It's fine. It's totally fine. Nigel Farage is doing a great job, and I really appreciate what he's doing, because in my opinion, he's acting like the tip of the spear against the two-party consensus. As Peter Hitchens has been saying for many years, well, guys, I think the Conservative Party needs to die. And Nigel Farage is like, good point. I'll get on that. And
hold my beer.
Yeah, exactly. And the Conservatives have never been in a weaker position either. So Farage is basically at the apex of his powers at this point. He's been a very successful MEP. He is the reason, really. It's his sort of charisma, his activism, and the base that he used in UKIP to project the Brexit message, which forced Cameron to give us the referendum, which of course we won. And then he was just generally a sort of influential voice on GB News. And then he did Love Island, so the normies got to learn that actually he seems like an all right chap. So superb. Nigel Farage is at the peak of his powers, and the Conservative Party is in decline. So recently, the Conservative Party released their manifesto that I thought we'd have a look at because it's atrocious. Politics UK have just given us the bullet points, and as you can see, they've got 7 bullet points on immigration here, which is the primary issue facing Britain. And when Nigel Farage came out and said, look, this is the immigration referendum, this election, he's right. Immigration is the root cause of all of the problems that we have. And he's made it a real point to press. The Conservatives have come out with this tepid, piss weak, just watered down, milky tea manifesto, which I'm very disappointed with. We're going to work with other countries to rewrite asylum treaties, guys. One, I don't believe you on any of these immigration promises, obviously. The Labour Party never had the balls to go full-on mass immigration like the Conservatives have. The Labour Party let in something like 500,000 to 750,000 in total per year. And then with net migration, that would end up being about 250 to 300,000, which is unbelievably high. But the Conservatives decided, we can let in 1.2, 1.4 million. And then with net immigration, that makes nearly 800,000 net a year, which is insane, insane numbers that the average person isn't really aware of. And so,
unless they look at their own high street.
Well, yeah.
Unless they've got eyeballs in their head.
Yeah, unless they look at their own high street. But even then, people have got this impression that it's like, net migration must be about 80,000 a year or something. Literally, the poll's done. People are just like, no, it's 10 times that. What are you talking about? People just have no idea. So anyway, look at this. We're going to work with other countries to rewrite asylum treaties. Don't care. Why aren't you unilaterally getting rid of these people? They're illegal immigrants. They've broken into our country. Regular rhythm of flights to Rwanda. Don't care. Just dump them all on a Scottish island if you have to. Prioritise national security of the European Court of Human Rights membership. Just repeal it. What are you talking about? What is with all of these weak-ass halfway houses? Stop illegal migrants challenging their removal in the courts. Yeah, okay, you should have done this 10 years ago. Clear the asylum backlog. Introduce a legal cap on migration, which will be reduced every year. Just end it.
Yeah, and they've already promised that sort of thing before.
Since 2010.
Completely failed to deliver on it.
2015.
Like the ECHR thing alone.
2017. 2019. I'll keep going. These are broken. Sorry, go on. Broken promises.
Like Priti Patel's trying to repeal the ECHR, or Suella Braverman's looking into doing it. She's promising they're looking very hard at it this time.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, we just don't believe you.
Yeah.
Just don't believe you. And other people have said, I've heard other people say, we don't even need to repeal it or anything. You just have a government with enough balls to just act.
Well, you could just ignore it. What they're going to do is send an army.
Right, yeah.
They're not going to do anything about it.
Yeah.
But
Brussels going to send their tank divisions into London, are they?
But until they destroy the Quango industrial complex and retake control of the Bank of England, as Liz Truss has demonstrated, then the Blairite apparatus that surrounds the government will continue to needle and confound and to make sure that nothing substantive happens.
Do you think Farage is going to actually do these things?
I don't know.
Because
I'm not saying he will.
He is soft right. I mean, despite being characterised by some as far right and extreme right and all that sort of thing, he's actually reasonably soft still.
But this is my point. It doesn't really matter whether Farage himself is going to do these things. What matters is that he breaks open the paradigm.
Yep.
That's the point.
No, I completely agree.
So, like you say, I don't think Farage is going to do all of those things. But who knows? He might surprise us all, and he might be like, actually, I know what the problem is. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm quite long in the tooth. That, and that, all gone. But anyway, so pathetic, right? They've got a bunch of other pathetic things, but the thing that really annoyed me the most, 22 points on net zero. It's like, no, what? No, just make sure that they're not dumping pollutants in the rivers, if that's not too much hassle. Make sure it's actually worth going for a swim at the beach, and that's all you need to do. You don't need to any of this left-wing nonsense. But anyway,
net zero by 2050. So there it is.
Not 2030, guys. 2050. That's the right wing. No, shut up. Not one single. Build nuclear power plants. That's just it. I can hear that coming through, by the way, Samson. Build nuclear power plants. That's all you need to do. That's all that solves the entire problem. And that's, of course, why the Greens are against nuclear power. They don't want the problem solved because that means that capitalism gets to survive. What they want is revolution. Anyway, so on the back of this, they raised £570,000 in donations.
Who donated?
Yeah, that's a great question. But not many people. I mean, that's 10 times less than what they raised in 2019 under Boris with 5.7 million. So, Piss Week manifesto, one of the most unpopular leaders ever, couldn't even raise £1 million.
But there are still sort of some absolute die-hard Tory boys that, regardless of anything, regardless of the very fabric of their society just being destroyed in front of their very eyes, will still insist that the Tory party is the way to go, and that
they're not going to dishonor their hands.
Yeah, basically. But we can just step past these people because they're yesterday's paradigm. But yeah, so and then you can just see just everyone just taking the piss out of the Conservatives everywhere. Like Rishi tweets out what you'd think would be a tried and tested Conservative canard. You will always be better at spending your own money than the government is. Okay, Rishi. I mean, like just I mean the quote tweets on this are just hilarious, to be honest. But
it is hilarious, especially now, if you factor in the amount of money that they won in donation.
Well, yeah, the market has spoken.
Just
Rishi.
keep it yourselves, people. You can spend it better than if you give it to me. Rishi Sunak, the famous poor politician who...
Which is totally true, but like, the thing is, we're labouring under the highest tax burden since World War II. So why would you tweet that? Why would you tweet things that are just so contradictory to your own government? It's embarrassing. And then Sunak's had I don't even know if Sunak's still campaigning, to be honest. I didn't see anything from him over the weekend. That I was going to add stuff to this, but nothing had happened, apparently. But of course, he had an interview where he was like, yeah, I really suffered. I went with that Sky TV as a child, as Bo and I discussed on Friday. No one of our age had Sky. Like, it was the rich kid who had Sky. I was 16, I think, when we finally got Sky TV.
I never ever had it.
Really?
There's other kids at school got to watch The Simpsons before they put it on Channel 4.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's The Simpsons? Who's Homer? What?
No. Sorry, 15, I think we were on Sky. But it's, quite old into my childhood. But yeah, so that's not exactly going without either, to be honest. Not exactly. But I hate the framing. It's like, you don't have to be like, oh yeah, I come from a poor impoverished background. It's like, look, poor people don't want to be poor. Like, they don't hate people who aren't poor. For Christ's sake, that's what communists do. So don't reject the framing out of hand. But anyway, Starmer, of course, was like, yeah, I didn't have Sky TV growing up either. And Andrew Neil, who launched Sky TV in 1989, pointed out that Starmer was 27 when it launched. So good point, Keir, you didn't have Sky TV. I didn't realise that Keir Starmer was 61, actually. Doesn't look that old.
He doesn't, no.
Obviously he needs to get out drinking and smoking more with Farage, who's 60. 1 year younger than him.
I mean, I thought he was older because I watched a boxing video of his, him punching a boxing bag.
True, I just thought he was really weak.
Yeah, but I mean, a 70-year-old who's in relatively decent shape can punch harder.
That is tough.
Not only has Starman sort of never thrown a punch in his life, I don't think he's probably ever done any physical manual work in his whole life.
100%.
Like,
He's obviously an office worker. Anyway, so there was this incident that, I mean, Starmer, I don't think Starmer is actually a bright guy. That's the thing. I don't think he's very smart. That's the problem. Because, like, he is doing a town hall here, answering questions, and he brings out the old, oh, my dad was a toolmaker, and people start laughing because it's the predictable thing that he says now. And so he got upset by that and was like, well, I can't believe they would disrespect my factory-working father. But no, they're disrespecting you. Your dad making tools is a perfectly honourable vocation. But that's literally all we know about your dad, because it's literally what you say about your dad, and so it was just predictable, and so people were laughing at you being an NPC. It was a pre-programmed thing to say. And Starmer genuinely didn't seem to get that was in this interview. That was what people were laughing at. Anyway, so what's been going on from Farage? So Farage has been winning debates. Farage, this is the second ITV debate, and he smashed it. Absolutely smashed it. He is the only person on the stage with any charisma. He is the only person on the stage who is actually saying something interesting. You've got the Conservative and Labour who are just like, yeah, everything that the Uni-Party consensus has done for the last 30 years, that's been bad. We need to stop doing this. We're going to do less of those things. And then you've got the sort of woke Celtic types, the Green Party, the SNP, who played Cymru, and they're all like, you know what, guys? Communism. How about we have full communism right now? How many more immigrants can we fit in Britain? Maybe if we actually compress everyone into just a giant meat flesh sack, we could get every single person on Earth within the M25. And it's like, great, that's brilliant. I mean, literally, the SNP, the Scottish guy, was like, Scotland has a problem with immigrants. We don't have enough of them. It's like, you could take some of ours if you want. We can send Scotland our immigrants if you like. You've got lots of space in the Highlands. What surely you need a few Pakistani colonies up there, a few Bangladeshi colonies, maybe some North Africans. I don't know. I don't know why that's your opinion, but it is. But the point is, Farage is the only person going, hey guys, it might be sensible for Britain if we stop immigration for a bit, if we lower taxes, if we do things that are in the interests of the British people, then actually things could get better. And everyone was like, God, you're a racist, Nigel.
Isn't it
God, aren't you a fascist? They didn't say that.
Isn't it remarkable, though, that he's the only politician with, as you say, charisma?
Yeah.
Sort of actual charisma.
Yeah.
And, of course, we're sympathetic to it, being sort of right-leaning.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, he really is. People call him a great communicator, and he is. I don't agree with absolutely everything he says. Like, I still think he's a little bit of a weak sauce. I still think he's a little bit.
Doesn't matter. Let's not have any counselling.
No, don't worry. I'll be voting reform.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I said this before.
I know.
Despite my history with them, I've still been voting for them. And the shifting of the Overton window and the breaking of the two-party paradigm is the most important thing in this election.
I've been personally disavowed by Farage.
Right, yeah.
So, I'm not worried about it. Farage is, and he's clearly winning as well with the audiences. And in fact, people were just like, my God, the rest are political pygmies compared to Nigel Farage, which is totally true. He is the master of his element, and he's doing a great job. And so this is paying off in the polls. So it's been, nearly 2 weeks since he announced his candidacy, is it?
It must be, yeah, roughly.
Nearly 2 weeks. And there's going to be just over 2 weeks until the election night stream. By the way, the election night stream, more important than the election, of course. July the 4th, we're going to be doing an all-nighter where we're going to be here all night watching the results come in and just keeping an eye on the general lay of the land. So tune in for that. It's going to be amazing on lotuseast.com. But so the latest poll came out from YouGov, and this is great because, as you can see, Nigel Farage has overtaken the Conservatives. But also what's interesting here is that Labour have gone from like 44 or 46, 47 at some points a couple of months ago down to 37, which is interesting. So I think that Farage is probably not just sucking up Conservative votes. Somehow there are still some Conservative voters left in this country. They're at 18%. Reformers up to 19%. Labour are down to 37%.
That's good.
It's very good.
Many of those who would vote Labour were disgruntled Tory supporters in 2019.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of them will be the red wall that Boris flipped. And doubtless they're quite sympathetic for Farage because Farage is their kind of guy. He's Mr. Brexit, and they doubtless voted Brexit. So all's good. Farage, whatever you think of him, he's a superb campaigner. As you say, he's a great communicator. And so it's become apparent to right-wing people in the United Kingdom, and when I say right-wing, I'm being very generous with that description, because I'm now about to cite The Telegraph. They already know that he's the leader of the Conservatives. He is the leader of the right in the United Kingdom. It is Farage. And he's been making just great strides for just based politics, I guess we'd call it. Yeah, the politics that serves our interests rather than the interests of like the abstract goal of liberalism or international bodies or anything like this. And so they have to be like, well, look, Farage clearly won the BBC debate, coming top of a Snap YouGov poll. A lot of the Tories tonight will be thinking, I wish he was our leader. Yep.
Just to be clear, though, that really should be Conservatives with a small c.
Yeah.
Because he's not already the leader of the Conservatives, i.e. the Conservative Party, and won't be. He said explicitly, they can join us. We'll fold them into reform. I'm not suddenly going to flip to be the Conservative leader.
Yeah, the Conservatives are splitting the Reform vote.
Right.
Which is literally now, according to the polls, what's happening. But you are, of course, correct. Small C Conservatives. But he's also the leader of the big C Conservatives. It's just the Conservative Party hasn't yet recognised this. And I mean it because, remember that the Tories raised £570,000. Well, Holly Valance herself raised 1.5 million for Reform.
Did she? Wow, that's news to me.
I know. What a hero. Was she like Neighbours or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, like she's a soap opera actress, but like she's obviously based and she's totally on side and she's obviously doing great work for Reform and Farage. So on that alone, that's 3 times almost what the Conservatives have raised in total by one person for Reform. And so this is great. And Farage is just broadcasting our message far and wide. I'll just play this bit just so you can hear it.
If you've got net migration running at 750,000 a year, it's not surprising the size of the economy grows. But the income per head has fallen for the last 6 consecutive quarters. The penny is beginning to drop. Mass migration is making us poorer. Mass migration means our kids and grandkids can't get houses. Mass migration means rents are up between 20 and 30% in the last 3 years alone in this country. Mass migration means I almost missed this interview. The traffic is now so bad on our roads because 6 million more people live here than when the Conservatives came to power.
Now, he keeps going on, like, this is a message he's been absolutely hammering, completely correct. That's exactly what we've been saying. Superb. I want this message being broadcast across the entire country. Absolutely on point. Fantastic.
Yeah, all aboard the Nige train.
100%.
Yeah. Just to say once again, some people still on the further right could criticise him for saying that he's taking the wind out of further right policies.
Yeah.
And I've seen him a few years ago sort of gloat that he's destroyed the real far right in Britain, whatever. But for this election, if nothing else, this message,
100%.
Getting it out to normies and boomers and breaking that paradigm of the two-party, you can only really vote for anything other than Labour or Conservative, it's a waste of vote. To break that, this is gold. This is pure gold.
It's perfect.
So, before you said that it would be good to... Everyone should join the Conservative Party so that when out of the ashes, we can make a new thing.
But
so
Nigel wasn't running then.
Right.
Because now Nigel is running.
The idea that Nigel would, because he hinted at he might in the jungle and all sorts of times, that he might join the Conservative Party. But that's now off the table, really. He's committed to staying with Reform at least till 2029. So you wouldn't advocate anymore for...
Well, no.
Raising the Conservatives out of the ashes.
Well, it's
all aboard the Nige train and Reform going forward.
Things were just different like 6 months ago when I mentioned that. It was like, look, the Conservatives are on a bit of a downswing. They'll probably lose the next election and get 150 seats or something. And maybe we can make, if we join the Conservative Party, we can make a strong argument from within the party. But Nige wasn't running. He wasn't smashing them in the polls. It wasn't looking like they're going to get, by the way, it looks like they're going to get about 70 seats in the election, which isn't 0 seats, but it's a start. Nige wasn't storming, things have changed. And to be honest with you, it would be better if the Conservatives just went away, because they really are just committed losers. And apparently we've got a sneak preview of some policies Reform are going to put out. They're going to abolish the TV licence fee, so that's the end of the BBC.
Nice.
Love it. Opposition to a cashless society, great idea. Free speech bill, good idea. Anti-corruption unit, good idea. And make St. George's Day and St. David's Day national holidays. Love it. Love everything about it. Why wouldn't we want that? Why wouldn't we want that? And that's just the tip of the iceberg. In fact, about now, they're probably announcing the actual manifesto, so obviously I couldn't look at it in advance, but we'll cover it tomorrow.
I wonder what the policy, or if they do have one, on remigration.
Well, I know that it's going to be remigrating a lot of illegals,
right.
But I don't know about the rest of it, so we won't speculate until tomorrow. But he's been putting out these amazing videos, and these are just genuinely good campaign videos.
Above all, I'll say this to you, I'm unashamedly patriotic. I'm not scared of being that. It's not sentimental. It's what I believe to be right. I think family, community, and country are the cause and the backbones, underpinned by Christian culture, of the way that I was brought up, the way that I believe to be right, and the way that I believe is worth us standing up and fighting for. And if I say these things to you with great passion, I mean them with great passion. I care about our culture, that we fight for British values. I'm determined that we fight for the benefits of Brexit. I believe you are not a country There's your controlling room orders, and you decide yourselves who comes and who does not.
So
great. Right.
Amazing.
You can't ask for much more at this point.
Exactly. That's all I've wanted a right-wing politician to be saying, because everything flows from that once we've got that. So go and, share that to, every normal person offline. Go send it to your boomer aunt and uncle. Be like, look, it has to be Farage. It can't be the Tories anymore. And he's winning on TikTok as well. So another thing that's weird, it's like Aaron Bastani here being like, a group of 16-year-olds came over to me in Sussex, desperate to talk about Farage, who they discovered via TikTok. Which is interesting. And you look at his TikTok and he's doing brilliantly. I mean, look at those numbers on his TikTok. They are superb. And so he's radicalizing the youth and saying, hey, by the way, you don't have to hate your own country, actually. And we can compare this to Swella Braveman. This is her TikTok campaign.
I have a question for everybody. Who wants to go to the Four Seasons Orlando?
Oh, don't. What was that?
A total lack of energy. That's what that is. That is a campaign that knows it's going nowhere, that realizes that the genuine goodwill is not with them.
Lack of self-awareness. Like, what are you...
Yeah. I mean, if their campaign was going well and they had a lot of energy, then this could be funny in an ironic way, but it's not. It's just kind of weak, which is a shame. Since we're talking about TikTok, of course, go follow us on TikTok, lotuseaters_com on TikTok. We're doing all right, actually, all things considered.
Is there one with me and Callum with over 300,000?
Yeah. Then
okay.
Dan's one with Black.
I never go on TikTok, you see.
Yeah, I'm not a big TikToker either, but we're doing all right. So go and follow us over there. Anyway. You can tell that Farage is the leader of the right, just to continue on with this point, because as you can see, Conservative MP Andrea Jenkins is using a photo of Farage on her campaign leaflet.
Bit weird.
Yeah, it's a bit weird and very telling. It's like, yep, I'm friends with Nigel Farage, which is why you should vote Conservative. No, he's the guy in charge, and everyone knows it. And then Dean Doris went on a Times Radio and was just like, look, it's just over for the Conservatives. It is over. I'm not even sure why the candidates are bothering going out and delivering leaflets. It's over. I agree. Again, Nadine Doris, very strong Boris partisan, former MP, and other Conservatives, senior Tories, just think the party will split apart after it loses this election. Because the Conservative Party has long been a broad church of various competing factions, but it's come to the point where what do they even have in common? What do the National Conservatives have with like Cameronian Blairites?
I hope it's shattered to pieces and scattered to the winds.
Absolutely. It's, if they can't do it to the CIA, at least you can do it to the Tory party. And so you've got Nigel Farage. Again, compare this to Swellers. Like, this is also cringe, but funny.
Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Back again. Back again.
So Farage so he tweeted that with "Good morning, Rishi Sunak." So again, that's cringe, but funny because he's trolling Rishi Sunak. The energy is with him. Everyone knows the energy is with him. He's clearly having a good time, and he's just on the campaign trail, just going for it. And Sunak is just tanking the polls, so everyone can see. And obviously, the 0 seats meme is seriously getting around. This is a projection after the latest poll using the Financial Times seat projection tool, and it has them at 11 seats. Which is
the Tories.
Yeah, which is 11 too many. But yes, it has them very, very low. The Tories. And there have just been loads of memes. I'll skip those for time's purpose, but there's been a huge amount of memes on the 0 seats front. And 0 seats apparently is coming because half of all Conservative voters think the Conservatives deserve to be totally wiped out. Like, sorry, what?
When something like the 0 seats thing gets this much traction, it's hard to deny that it hasn't tapped into the zeitgeist.
It is the zeitgeist,
right? Yeah,
100%.
So Nima hit the nail on the head.
Yeah,
I mean,
wizardry powers can't be understated. He has nailed the zeitgeist here.
Yeah,
and it's just remarkable. Like, a quarter of people who voted Conservative in 2019 say that they deserve to lose all of their seats. So that's not even, okay, you've got Labour Party members going, yeah, I think Conservatives 0 seats. No. These are your own voters,
I suspect I suspect they'll still get 50, 70 odd seats.
Yeah, they probably will.
It won't be as low as 11, I wouldn't have thought.
No,
I mean, fingers crossed it is zero, actually zero, but
we've got 2 weeks left of Farage ruthlessly campaigning against them. Who knows, right? Who knows? And you've seen the left a lot probably complaining, why is Farage getting so much airtime? It's because he's the right wing. He is the leader of the right. He represents the energy of the right at the moment, an insurgent right. And by the way, only 35% of people disagreed with that statement. So it got around. Farage himself endorsed 0 seats. And there was one person who wasn't happy with the idea of the Conservative Party being destroyed. Can you guess who it is, Stelios?
Tell me.
Peter Hitchens. Obviously, it's Pete Hitchens.
I've seen him and Dan are having some flirtatious tweet exchanges.
Yeah, because Dan was like, you are the originator, the progenitor of the 0 seats meme. You were the one who said that the Conservatives...
Now your creation has met you.
Yeah, and
creation has met the creator now.
Yes, and he's not happy. Because,
why
of course,
not? What's the
because
problem?
Starmer's going to get in, and we'll talk about it in a second. But, I mean, what did you think the alternative was going to be to destroy the Conservatives? Obviously, Labour were going to get in. But the Conservatives deserve it. I mean, they imported millions of people who are never going to vote for them.
Well, no, they've committed a crime of unparalleled, unprecedented severity.
Yeah, they've definitely been party to a bunch of crimes. I mean, look at this. Just, where did those Afghan boys come from who decided to rape a girl at Kent School? Where did they come from?
Not only that, but they have also contributed to the demonization of people who talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, speaking of demonization, you've got Calvin Robinson was kicked out of the Conservative Party last week for, quote, openly supporting Tommy Robinson. So, oh no, not Tommy Robinson. Sorry, did he do something like this? Did he allow a child rapist to stay in the UK after arguing being deported back to Eritrea would harm his mental health? Oh no, you can't associate with Tommy Robinson. Why do you want to associate with the party that has done this? Why do you want to associate with the party that has done this? This all happened under the Conservatives. They made this happen. And they're like, well, I mean, you associate with Tommy Robinson, you've got to be kicked out. Shut up. Honestly, shut up. So just a final thing on this. I think Nigel Farage is going to win in Clacton because for some reason the Labour Party have decided that they'd find the whitest constituency in Britain and then run the, quote, Wakanda diaspora candidate who literally hates white people and says that white man's tears, are his favourite drink. It's like, right. So you want Farage to win in Clacton by a staggering amount? Superb. I'm in favour of that. I want Farage to win in Clacton by a staggering amount, which is superb. But yeah, we'll leave it there just because it's preposterous that they've done this. Anyway, so just in summary, Farage is obviously the legitimate leader of the right. He has the mandate of heaven. He has the energy. He is winning. And hopefully he does really well.
And as you said on Twitter, a little clip you put up saying message discipline.
Yes.
Okay, you might be further to the right than Nige, or you might be slightly to the left of him, or something like that. Yeah. But the way elections go, the way party politics goes, is you have to know there's going to be no perfect leader.
Yep.
There's going to be no perfect party with a perfect agenda and manifesto.
Yep.
Politics is the art of compromise and things. Yep. And so for this election, this time out, this is the vehicle. Yep. As I say, all aboard the Nige train.
Yep.
It's the best option at this point. And although some people, people that aren't prepared to compromise any of their politics, will say that's just a sellout. Well, no, get real.
No, Nigel Farage is good on almost all of the issues. He might not be perfect on almost all of the issues, but he's good on almost every issue I care about, and it will be a net positive step in the right direction to have Nigel Farage as an MP and then hopefully Prime Minister in 2029 than not. That's just that simple.
Well, even Catherine Blakelock of the English Democrats retweeted you saying, yes, at least for this election, don't vote for me, vote for reform in the constituency she's standing in.
Yeah. And we're going to have her on tomorrow.
So yeah, that's sort of the message this time round.
Yeah, it's Farage can break the consensus. We have to put the weight behind him as he acts as the tip of the spear to pierce through their armour.
Send a message to the establishment.
Yeah.
with Nigel. That's the thing to do this time.
And no one else has the chops,
Right.
It's got to be.
There's no one else at the moment.
By the way, I think there is a rationale in the Labour Party in the selection of the candidate who will run against Farage, because they know that he's going to lose, because Farage is very strong in that constituency. So they want to make it all about racism. And
oh no, don't call me a racist.
Yeah.
Those days have passed.
Yeah,
right?
that'd be new, wouldn't it? Exciting. Anyway,
but still, that's what they want to do in the eyes of the general public.
Maybe.
I hope you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters. And if you want to see what other work we're doing, you can go onto our website and see Lads Hour, which is where we have a lot of fun. And if you want to see what else we're doing more generally, you can follow us on Twitter, where we post all of our links to the work we're putting out.